You're all familiar with this rather pointy thing here. It's the front end of an HST, of course, Class 43 in modern parlance. But we're not here to talk about that. We are, in fact, here to talk about, Ashton, come with me at high speed. We're here to talk about this down here. These down here is a bogie, and within this is a set of brakes.
Everyone knows the HST. It's known as the locomotive that saved Britain's railways. It's an icon of British engineering. And the innovations that allowed it to do that were its brake system. So in the 1960s, people were moving away from rail. There was talk of just ripping up the lines because, competition from road and air. It was faster often to drive to your destination than take the train, like high-speed express intercity trains, They're traveling at like 80 mile an hour to 100 at the high end, usually below that because they had to be able to stop effectively if they came up against, a yellow signal or a red.
That's the trick. You've got a signalling system that has been built that you cannot just completely radically change because it's fixed signals all set at block distances defined potentially a century earlier. And so your technology is limited not by how quickly you can accelerate necessarily, but by how quickly you can brake.
Yeah, like obviously the Mallard broke the speed record in 1938, 126 miles an hour. Going fast isn't necessarily a problem even for steam.
Yep.
Being able to stop again, that is your problem. So how do you do it? So Ron Worley, he was a young electrical engineer back in the 70s on this program developing this locomotive. And this was a time when there wasn't really electronic systems in trains. The skepticism about electronics from BR engineers was very much like, no, it's not reliable. I don't want to be hauled in front of a parliamentary committee. Thank you. Yeah. But he was there insisting that, no, he was brought in to, I believe it was Davies and Metcalfe, to develop an electronics department. And he argued that, well, the only way to get this thing to slow down in time was to engage the brakes faster, because you had a pressure system in which it only released usually from one end. So in a vacuum, the pressure travels at the speed of sound, but it's not a straight vacuum. The systems of these is all over the shop. So it took about 11, 12 seconds on a lot of trains to engage the brakes all the way down the train. And if you try and adjust the brake pressure, just as long for that adjustment to happen. So it took a long time to operate the brakes. So you needed to do that faster. So what he wanted to do was very similar to what modern trains have. He wanted, and was advocating for, full electronic controls in every single carriage and full integration with the track and reclaiming
fully
energy.
Distributed electronic control.
All of that. Engineers at the time were just like, you what? No. So, he managed to go for a compromise position where he's got an electronic control unit at both ends of the train in the power cars, and it dumps the pressure from both ends of the system simultaneously, which allowed it to go to, decelerate much more efficiently than any other loco design. It's such a good brake system that all surviving HSTs still running are still using the system he designed as he designed it. It was never upgraded. It was the innovation that allowed this loco to travel reliably at 125 miles an hour, saving Britain's railways, bringing passengers back, often cutting journey times by over an hour on some intercity routes. And it was all thanks to this innovation. And Ron Worley, he was a gay man who, he had to deal with homophobic banter every single day in the mess room, after work, at the pub with colleagues. He couldn't bring people around his home that he worked with. He couldn't bring his partner to work functions or dinners or award ceremonies. He couldn't tell people what he did on the weekend. He had to live this double life to find time for his partner. He had to tell people all sorts of excuses and lies for why he couldn't do this or couldn't be at that, why his girlfriend couldn't be there. And so, it forced him into this really awful position where he then had to be constantly remembering what he told people. And it was just a really hard time. But he overcame all that adversity to give us an innovation that saved our railways.